Today we're answering gameplay questions for Batman Gotham City Chronicles from Monolith Games. I'm Mark Maya. Welcome to Board Game Coffee. Welcome to Board Game Coffee. I'm Mark Maya.
And I'm Brittany.
We've interrupted the beginning of this episode to bring you some huge news. We are doing a giveaway.
It is our biggest giveaway yet. It's massive.
Huge. Possibly the biggest giveaway of all time anywhere.
Or not.
But maybe not. But maybe, yes. But possibly not. Anyways, shall we show them what we're giving away? It's big. Are you ready? Here we go. We're giving away Batman.
Yeah, we are.
All of it. The entire all-in package. Right down to the extra dice. It can all be yours. But you gotta win it. Brittany, tell them how they can win it.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell us in the comments who your favorite villain is.
It's that easy. Subscribe and comment. Done. And if you want to increase your odds, you know what? Why don't you tell your friends? Share the info. Have them comment. Have them subscribe. And if they don't like Batman, they're not a board gamer, doesn't matter. That board game could be yours. All you're doing is increasing your odds. Mm-hmm. But you know what? We're going to help you out even more. We're going to give you another way to win. If you follow us on Instagram and you comment on Instagram and tell us there who your favorite villain is. Actually, you know what? Let's change it up. For Instagram, tell us who your favorite hero in the Batman universe is. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a good one. So, all the ways you can win. Subscribe and comment on YouTube. Follow and comment on Instagram. Oh, and like. You know what? You like it, we'll give you another ticket. Because the more you do, the more subscriptions, comments, likes, whatever, we're going to give you a ticket for that each time. So each time you do one of those things, you'll be entered to win. So the more you do, the better your odds.
And we want to give a big thank you to Monolith for supplying this generous gift that we are able to give to you.
Those guys are awesome.
Amazing.
It's like Christmas, like a Batman Christmas, an Arkham Christmas. All right, anyways, that's enough of the contest. You guys know what you need to do to win. Now, let's get back to that FAQ video, shall we? Oh, and before I forget, this contest is running till May 9th. So, you got till May 9th to win. Make it happen. Hey gang, now before we get started, I'd like to reassure you that all the answers provided in this video, I worked with the designers from Monolith myself to make sure you are getting the most accurate answers available on the internet. Which means Board Game Coffee is your best source to get answers for Batman Gotham City Chronicles. And we've designed this video in such a way that you don't have to watch it from beginning to end. If there's a particular question that you want an answer to, check out the links in the description below where we separated each question and answer into its own link so you can jump right to the answers you're looking for. Because this video is here to help you and get you the answers you're looking for. Now, without further ado, let's continue with our FAQ.
Why are some higher level abilities worse than their lower level versions?
Now, traditionally, as gamers, we might think that an ability with a higher level is a better version than the same ability at a lower level. But that's not necessarily the case with Batman Gotham City Chronicles. So don't get hung up on that. The level value of an ability is just a number associated with how that skill works. So that number is sometimes used to indicate how many times you can do something, how much it costs, or how much of a bonus you get from doing that thing. But don't worry, all of that is indicated in the back of your rulebook for easy reference. And if you have any questions, well, we probably have the answers in this video.
When do I apply the Martial Arts and Marksman skill bonuses?
Well, first let's clarify. The martial arts skill bonus only takes effect when performing melee attacks, while the marksman skill bonus takes effect when performing ranged attacks. But both of those bonuses only get applied if you roll at least one success on your attack die, and it gets applied before the target of your attack gets a chance to defend. So, for example, Batman here has a martial arts skill of 1. So when performing an attack on this thug and rolling a success of 2, the thug will have to defend against an attack of 3.
How are the martial arts and marksman skills any different from the poison and electricity skills?
The martial arts and marksman skills get applied as soon as you roll at least 1 success on your die and before the target of your attack gets a chance to roll a defense. But the poison and electricity skills are only applied if your attack gets through. So in that case, you have to do at least 1 damage to your target before any additional damage is added on. This ability is great when tackling bosses.
When taking damage from the pushing limit skill, which energy pool do I pull cubes from?
Paying for the pushing limit skill works just like taking damage. So first you'll take cubes from your fatigue zone and place them in your wound zone to pay for the ability. But if you don't have any energy cubes in your fatigue zone, then you look at the spaces on the side of your board and pay from there. Now, if neither your fatigue zone or the spaces on the side of your board have any energy cubes, at that point and only then do you start pulling from your reserve.
How often can I use pushing limits?
Pushing limits can only be used once per turn. The cost of pushing limits just represents how many energy cubes are required to use it that turn. So if you have a pushing limits of, say, level 2, then you'll have to pay 2 energy cubes to use that pushing limit ability once that turn. So just because you're spending 2 cubes on 1 action doesn't mean you get to use that action twice. It just means that the ability for that character is more expensive.
Does a neutralized hero add their size index to the area they are in, or hinder anything in any way?
Short answer, no. A neutralized hero does not count in any hindering calculations. It's like they're not even there.
How can I tell what the height of a wall or level is?
Any information you need about any game board map layout can be found in the back of the mission book. Information such as height of an area, jump gap distance, blocking areas, and so on.
Can low-level villains jump across gaps flagged as jump areas?
Yes, they can. All characters can perform special moves unless otherwise stated.
Does parkour level 1 have any effect when climbing a level 2 wall?
Well, yes it does. If you have a parkour of 1 and you're climbing a wall of level 2, then your parkour is deducted from the cost of climbing that wall. So in this example, Batman has a parkour of 1 and he needs to climb this level 2 wall. But he also has to remember to pay for the space that he's moving to. So the total cost would be 1 for the wall at the discount from his parkour, and 1 for entering that space. So a total of 2. And remember, you're going to have to pay for any additional cost of any hindering terrain that you might be moving out of. Parkour only reduces the additional cost of jumping, climbing, and any damage you might incur from a fall.
Does mobility reduce the cost of difficult terrain?
Answer, yes. Mobility absolutely reduces the cost of moving through difficult terrain. So, for example, Catwoman here is in an area that has a difficult terrain of 1. Now, her mobility is at level 2, so she can cancel a hindering terrain level of up to 2, so that 1 is not going to be any problem at all. So she ignores the hindering terrain and just pays the regular cost of moving out of that space.
Can villains perform more than 1 activation action?
No, they cannot. Bad guy characters can only move, perform 1 action, and move again. The only time they can perform more than 1 action is if the action they are performing has a number associated with it, which means they can perform that action that many times.
Why do some of my villain characters have 2 different options for 1 action?
Ah, yes. There are some characters that have multiple actions associated with one particular action. For example, Bane here, let me show you. Bane here has 2 different types of melee attacks. Now, when performing a melee attack, you'll have to select one of those attacks, and not both. So you either choose to roll the 2 black dice once, or the 2 yellow dice 3 times. And that's it.
How many actions can heroes perform?
So unlike villain characters, your hero can perform as many actions as they want as long as they have the energy cubes to do so. But I wouldn't go spending all your energy cubes every turn. You might want to save a few in case you need some for defending during the villain's turn.
If an enemy character decides not to move, but act first, then move, do they still get their move bonus?
Yes, they do. Just like your hero characters, the first time any enemy character moves, they'll get their move bonus. So if they decide to perform an action first and then move, they will still get their move bonus.
Do I get a defense bonus if I'm being attacked by a character on a lower level?
No, they do not. But if your character is on a higher level and attacking a character on a lower level, they do roll a bonus yellow die when attacking.
Can villains heal beyond their starting health?
No character, either hero or villain, can heal past their starting health value.
If my defense space is maxed out with cubes and I take damage, can I move cubes from my defense space into my wound zone?
You absolutely can, and I want to show you how cool that actually is. Follow me. Now, here's our player board. As you see, Batman has maxed out on his defense area. As you see, his max is 5, and there's 5 energy cubes, so if he gets attacked, he can no longer pay to roll additional defense dice. But if he takes damage and has no cubes in his fatigue zone to move to his wound zone, then he has to choose cubes from one of the surrounding spaces. So in this case, he's going to take 2 cubes, let's say he took 2 damage, and place them into his wound zone. Now he's opened up 2 spaces in his defense space. So if you have energy cubes in your reserve and you do get attacked, you can spend up to 2 more cubes to roll additional dice.
How is demobilization different from dredging?
Demobilization can only be used on non-neutralized Henchman and Elite tiles, and can only be used once during the whole game. Dredging can be used anytime during the villain's turn, but only on neutralized tiles. Both Demobilization and Dredging will cost you 2 cubes per removed tile. These cubes are taken from your fatigue space and removed from the game.
Can you chain the combo skill?
No, you cannot. The combo skill only triggers once after the initial attack.
When the combo skill is triggered, do I add the martial arts bonus if my character has that skill?
Yes, if your character has both the martial arts skill and the combo skill, then the martial arts bonus will be applied to their combo roll.
In the skill reference guide, why is the teddy bear icon used for both the harmless and moral code traits?
That is what we call in the gaming industry an oopsie. The teddy bear is meant for the harmless ability only. The moral code trait should be a skull icon.
When you bring in venom infused Bane, does his health reset to 6 if his weaker version has already taken damage?
No, his health does not reset. When you switch out your basic Bane for your venom infused Bane, their health remains the same. So if your basic Bane was at a health level of 4, your venom infused Bane would come in with a health level of 4.
In the Deadly Infection mission, it lists ×3 Penguin's Gang miniatures on the card pictured in the river lineup. but depicts 4 miniatures on the actual map. Which is correct?
This number here is wrong. The map is correct. There should be a total of 4 Penguins Gang members on the board.
If I activate 3 dice that each have a free reroll, can I choose to reroll one of those die 3 times?
No, you can't, because the free dice reroll on certain characters, like Catwoman here, for example, is dice specific. So in this example, you could roll each of the 3 die 1 time, but you can't roll 1 die 3 times.
How much do double wide villain tiles cost to activate?
If you ever see a double wide tile, the cost of this tile is whatever this orange arrow is pointing to. So in this case, the arrow is pointing to 4. So if you want to play this double wide tile, it'll cost you 4 energy cubes. Simple.
Can a resting hero still use their move bonus to move?
No, they cannot, but they can still defend and reroll. They can also perform any free action like retaliation or counterattack.
When using the Berserk skill, how many white dice do I add to my attack if I spend 3 energy cubes?
Think of the Berserk skill like a weapon. So if you're rolling 3 die at once, you only add 1 bonus white die for the Berserk skill. But if you were to perform those attacks individually, say spend 1 energy cube, roll 1 attack die, you would get to add a white Berserk cube each time you did that. So it's 1 white cube per attack, regardless of the number of die you rolled.
Can all ranged weapons shoot across the map as long as they all have a clear line of sight?
Yes, they absolutely can. There is no maximum or minimum range for any of the ranged weapons. So, for example, our Shotgun Brute has a clear line of sight to Batman, which is all the way across the board. So as long as he has that clear line of sight, he can make the shot.
What is the difference between an orange line on the board and a white line?
Okay, well, white lines and orange lines work the same as far as line of sight is concerned. But what an orange line does is any 2 rooms that an orange line separates are considered to always have a clear line of sight. So, in this example, this owl is buried deep in this subway car, and if you were to draw a line of sight from him to Batman here on the platform, it would appear that he does not have a clear line of sight. But since this orange line is here, attaching the subway car to the platform, that means no matter where on the subway car this owl is standing, he'll always have a clear line of sight to Batman.
Where do I draw my line of sight from?
Alright, so line of sight is always drawn from the white dot in the center of the area of the attacker to the white dot in the center of the area of the target. So in this case, there's a clear line of sight from this dot to this dot. So this Shotgun Brute can easily shoot Catwoman. Now, you'll notice that some of these dots have letters associated to them. Now, these letters are there for the more questionable areas. So if you have somebody on a ledge and their line of sight happens to cross a wall, but from their height advantage, they can see what's behind that wall. Well, it's kind of hard to tell that from a flat board. So that's where the letters come in handy. For example, if you look at this area here, you'll see a letter A up on this ledge. Now, if you draw a straight line from this white dot all the way to this white dot, you would see that this white line crosses a subway car, crosses some escalators, and this wall. But in reality, they actually don't, because both these levels are above all these obstacles. So this is easily noted by this letter A. There's a letter A here and a letter A there. So that means those areas have a clear line of sight to each other.
What happens when all the villain characters from one tile are neutralized?
As soon as all the minis associated with a villain tile are neutralized, that tile is instantly flipped to its neutralized side and moved to the end of the river.
When do I get back the energy cubes I spent on actions?
Well, that all depends on which side you're playing. You see, if you're playing as the heroes, then you retrieve your energy cubes both at the start and end of your turn. And all cubes retrieved are placed back into your fatigue zone. Any unused cubes remain in your reserve zone. But the villain only gets to retrieve their cubes at the start of their turn and not the end. But still, any cubes they do retrieve are placed in their fatigue zone.
When defending, can I pay to roll one defense die at a time until I roll enough to block the attack?
No, you cannot. You see, your defense roll has to be decided all at once. So if you've made the decision to roll 3 dice to defend and that wasn't enough, you can't later say, oh, you know what, I want to add 1 more die to that defense. It doesn't work that way. But you can choose to spend that energy cube and re-roll 1 of those die, or re-roll 2 of those die, but no adding to your defense.
When throwing an item, does height affect the distance I'm calculating for, either up or down?
No. When calculating the distance of a throw, do not include the height of the level you are throwing from or to in your calculations.
Can I use the reach skill to attack someone in a location that is either above or below me?
No. To use the reach skill, both you and your target have to be on the same level.
Do I roll for defense when I fall or in response to an explosion?
No, but you do get to roll the yellow dice that determines how much damage you'll be taking.
How much stuff can my hero carry?
The maximum weight that any one hero can carry is indicated by the highest encumbrance value on their character board, located here near their movement bonus.
The short description of the Frost skill says that it adds +1 difficult terrain to an area, but the long description says it adds +1 dangerous terrain. Which is correct?
The correct description should read, add +1 difficult terrain.
How many areas does the blast skill affect?
2. When triggered, the blast skill will affect the area that the character who triggered it is in and any one adjacent area that they have a clear line of sight to.
The rulebook states that an item with the infinity symbol has a permanent effect, but many of these items also have a trash after use symbol. So do I trash it or is it permanent?
An item with an infinity symbol doesn't mean it has a permanent effect. Now, I know that's what it says in the rule book, but what they mean is that an item with an infinity symbol can be used at any time. And if that item also has a trash icon, you'll trash that item right after you use it.
Does the counter attack skill trigger if the character gets neutralized?
No, there's no fighting back once you're unconscious.
If I attempt to throw a grenade and it lands in my area, do I have to roll for damage?
Yes. Yes, you do.
If I have a bonus move of 2, can I move 1 space, drop an item, then spend the remainder of my bonus to move again?
Yes. Yes, you can, because dropping an item is not an action, therefore does not interrupt your movement. Mind you, in the same situation, if you were to move once and attack someone, you don't get the rest of your bonus move.
When do I use the armor bit that blocks a cube slot on the villain board?
Ah, yes, good question. That bit is only used in versus mode.
What is the difference between the cry skill and the blast skill?
Well, you see, Cry is specifically a hero skill that does not cost you any cubes to use. And Blast is specifically a villain skill.
When I nullify an imaginary friend, is it permanent?
Yes, it most definitely is.
Poison Ivy has the Harmless trait, which prevents her from dealing wounds, but also has the Poison trait that deals 4 damage. Do they cancel each other out?
You see, Poison Ivy is an interesting case. The dice she rolls don't deal damage, but if she rolls enough to exceed the defense of her target and gets at least 1 poke in there, that poke is reduced to 0 damage. But because the poke is there, she does deal 4 poison damage. So that's the basics. As long as her attack gets through, she'll always deal 4 poison damage, no matter how many of her initial attacks bypass the defense of her target.
When using the support skill, which dice can friendly characters reroll and how many?
Yes, the support skill. Now, I don't currently have anybody here on the table that has the support skill, but let's play a little game of pretend, shall we? Let's pretend that Batman here has the support skill. So now, in this situation, both Catwoman and Red Hood would benefit from Batman's support skill. So, for example, if he has a support skill of, say, level 1, then whenever either Catwoman or Red Hood roll any die, they get a chance to re-roll a number of die equal to the level of Batman's support skill. So if Catwoman rolled 2 dice, she would get an option to re-roll one of those dice if Batman's support skill was level 1.
What is the command skill?
The term command skill is used in the mission setup example found in the mission booklet and refers to the Henchman command skill ability and the Elite command skill ability, both of which are described in detail in the back of the rulebook.
Can I stack the Bodyguard skill?
Negative. If you do have 2 characters with the Bodyguard skill in one room, you only get the benefit of 1.
Can I choose not to trigger the flame or toxic skills?
Yes, you can. The use of any skill is never mandatory.
How many times can I use the luck skill?
You can use the luck skill anytime you roll dice. The amount of times that you get to use it per roll is based on the level of your luck skill. So if you have a luck skill of level 2, then you either get to roll 2 dice once or 1 dice twice. You can even use your luck skill during the villain turn when defending.
With the Misfortune skill, who actually rolls the dice?
Misfortune allows you to force your opponent to re-roll dice of your choosing. So you choose, they roll.
How many times can I activate the tiles associated with my Henchman and my Elite command skills?
You can only activate your command tiles once per turn. But you can continue to move and re-roll those command characters by spending energy cubes from your reserve pool into your thought action space.